At the end of the first tour under Gautam Gambhir as the new head coach for Team India, the results have been quite mixed. And I have with me a special guest, Mr. Saba Karim, former India selector and former India cricketer. He's here with me to discuss the aftermath of the India Sri Lanka series and all of the criteria that go ahead with selection. Thank you, Mr. Karim, for joining me for this interview. I'm really grateful that you gave your valuable time for this. So I'll start off by asking you about what do you think, as a former selector, what changes would you have made to the squad that went to Sri Lanka just now? Because there were a lot of controversial opinions that were going around in the media about specifically Abhishek Sharma and Ruturaj Gaikwad, who were left out of the T20 squads and the one day squads.
See, there are number of potential candidates who can get into the Indian side. But from a selector's perspective, you also need to understand, even if you pick them in the squad, will they be able to get in the 11 or not? And I think that is why the selectors went ahead with the kind of squad selection we saw in the for the T20 Sri Lanka series. Now, for instance, Ruturaj Gaikwad, even if you had wanted to bring him in, what is the position you would have given him? He can bat as a top order batter, as an opener or at number three. So if you have Shubman Gill and Yashasvi Jaiswal, both of them have done well and have been part of the squad before Ruturaj Gaikwad got an opportunity, then you are bound to continue with them. Number three, you wanted to bring in a Rishabh Pant, so even that is understandable. So I think at times, from the outside, we feel that such cricketers I mean, one has been harsh in not picking them, but eventually the selectors look at it from a different perspective altogether. So I think that makes sense. I think there's healthy competition going on the Indian side right now, and whoever is getting an opportunity, they want to do well for the side. But I think it's equally important for the selectors to understand that whoever you pick, that person should be given some more space to perform. Otherwise, there'll be far too many changes, which is not conducive for the team.
So, sir, we saw two different lineups in the T20 series, one against Zimbabwe and the other against Sri Lanka. So we have seen that there's a big change in captaincy also. There was a big media statement saying that Hardik Pandya would be the captain, it would be Surya Kumar Yadav. And the reasoning was, of course, given by the coaching staff and Gautam Gambhir himself. So what did you think were the differences in those two lineups, and which one do you think going forward is the more practical one for India?
See, Zimbabwe is a different issue altogether. Zimbabwe, we always send a very young side, and so many experienced cricketers they don't travel to Zimbabwe, and as there's been the case for the past several years. So that is a different aspect altogether. Now, getting back to T20 captaincy, I feel that the selectors opted for Surya Kumar Yadav because last season during the home series, when Hardik Pandya was not available, Sky led the side in a very admirable
Yeah.
manner. And the selectors felt, number one, that he'll be available for all the T20 matches going forward. Number two, they felt that Surya Kumar Yadav is more like Rohit Sharma, and the team environment is better if you have a leader
Hmm.
who can follow the same legacy or who can take forward the legacy of Rohit Sharma. And I feel that is why they opted for Surya Kumar Yadav. It comes, I mean, he brings to the table a very calm exterior and very relaxed. And I think the boys, they feel better under him. So I think that is, I mean, that's the way I look at it.
So, as I had mentioned, Gautam Gambhir just now, you having been a selector yourself and having seen him from various different quarters as a player, then as a mentor when he was with the Kolkata Knight Riders in the IPL, and now as the head coach of India, what do you think he brings stylistically to India? What differences will the team be going forward? And of course, the disappointing results in the one day series just now. Do you think that's an alarming sense as of now, very early on, or do you think things will continue?
So regarding Gautam Gambhir, he'll bring to the table the same character and trait which he had shown as a cricketer. He was aggressive, he was very combative, he will give more than 100% on the field, and that is what he will bring to the Indian side, and that's what you would expect from the cricketers also, which is such a healthy sign. Gautam Gambhir is another such player or coach now who would be addressing issues if there is something that comes up. He's very opinionated, and but he's also a very good listener. And I think it's imperative that Gautam Gambhir, along with the captain, They are on the same page, and I think that's what I expect from Gautam Gambhir. Um, he's highly intelligent. He understands the game very well. He understands the changing environment of modern day cricket. I think all that will help Gautam Gambhir to bring in a vision that will suit Indian cricket going forward. Because we have some important series, important tournaments coming up. Now we have the Champions Trophy. After that, hopefully we will qualify with the World Test Championship. So I think Gautam Gambhir is one such coach who will work towards forming goals for such important tournaments coming up. Getting back to whatever transpired in the one day series, it is not alarming, but I think it's one area that needs to be addressed. And as I said earlier, Gambhir is one such cricketer who would be doing all that. I'm sure he'll have a conversation with the captain along with the batting side as to what went wrong. On a turning track, I think Indian batting faltered. So I think that's one area where Gautam Gambhir, along with the rest of his coaching staff, would be working on in future.
Yeah, so as you said about the turning tracks and how the Indian team struggled, it was a very unusual thing that happened very recently in the press conference after the third one day, where we saw Rohit Sharma actually point out the mistakes that the team had actually made, because we have never really seen him do that before as a captain. He always has very vague and supportive comments to make about the team, never really pinpoints about particular weaknesses. So, do you think that going forward, and with new coaching and everything, these are the kind of things that the team will be more critical about? Will they start looking at it from a different perspective also, or?
No, it is not a different perspective. After so long, India has lost a series like this. So I think it makes sense for Rohit Sharma to come out and bring forth some of the constructive criticism which he felt was there on the field as a batting unit. And I think that's what he was addressing to. So it is nothing, it's not a different perspective altogether. At times, the captain has to take the lead in trying to show his team the way for the team to go forward. And I think that's what Rohit Sharma was trying to do. I think it is more than apparent that the Indian batting lineup struggle against good quality spin bowling on those wickets, which offered some turn and bounce. So I think India needs to encounter that. And how are they planning to do that? And I think all that needs to be resolved as soon as possible, because India is bound to play matches on these tracks also. The challenging environment requires a mindset which remains aggressive but is also based on sound defense. And I think that's what the Indian team, especially the batting unit, will be looking forward to do.
So, having been a selector for you, what are the kind of criterias that you set when you're looking at a player? For example, so if a player is doing really well in the IPL, does he then naturally get the nod if he does well for the T20 setup? And similarly, if a player does really well in the Ranji setup, does he naturally get the nod for the Test? So how does the player selection and player scouting go about? What are the kind of criteria there?
I mean, the basis of selection for the Indian side is your performance at the domestic level. So be it first class cricket, which is Ranji Trophy, or Vijay Hazare, which is one day cricket, or it is Syed Mushtaq Ali plus the IPL. So the Indian selectors look at IPL also as a domestic tournament. So if a young Indian cricketer is doing well, then the Indian selectors do pick him for a T20 only, not for one day cricket or for Test cricket. So I think that'll take some more time. But yes, IPL is a platform where where talented cricketers are identified and then they are given equal opportunity at the top. So I think so that's the kind of broader criteria the selectors have in mind. Similar is the case for Ranji Trophy players. It's not only Ranji Trophy, after that we have the Dilip Trophy. So all such cricketers who do well in Ranji Trophy and Dilip Trophy over a period of time, they get selected for India A side. And then from India A, then the transition is towards the national side. And it happens both in one day cricket as well as for Test cricket. I think generally India A, whenever they go abroad or they play matches against foreign teams, it is red ball cricket and one day cricket. So I think that is the platform which provides the selectors ample opportunity and the right platform for them to pick cricketers whom they feel can make it to the national side.
Thank you so much for joining me, Mr. Karim. Thank you so much for answering those questions. Giving a valuable time. Thank you so much.